You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show.
You know, obviously, you've got these two people in your life who, you know, I've got an 18-month daughter now, so I know the way she just like I'm like God. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like her mum, right? And you get this for 10 years, and then all of a sudden there's this separation, and they're not really being nice to each other. Like, how were you, as a 10-year-old, kind of processing this at the time?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I wasn't really processing it. I don't think I ever was taught how to process what was going through my head. I remember there was a school counsellor of somewhere for the first 6 months that offered me support, and I remember just talking about it, and I was almost denial is a bit of my history. I have a habit of going into denial, and I think I was just in denial because I was telling myself this is a new exciting part of my life. I was going to have 2 houses, I was going to have 2 families, you know, the BS that they tell you when you go through this. And I was just kept telling myself that I'm going to get a new bedroom, and my mum was, you know, helping me decorate this new bedroom, and just having complete denial of actually what was going on. I wasn't really processing it. And then when I look back now and I know why, but you know, when people go through teen years, they say, you know, it's a nightmare, you know, good luck with your daughter. So, you know, girls, everyone rebels, but girls can get really dramatic and emotional. And I was going through it then. I think that's when I was rebelling, and I was kicking off from my mum, I was kicking off from my dad. And I could have just said to my mum, I'm staying at my dad's. And I could have said to my dad, I'm staying at my mum's. And I could have been anywhere, you know, and they trusted me because I had to grow up fast. So I think going back down to processing it, I don't think I ever did. I think what happened was I just got on with it. And probably not the healthiest processing tool. And then it came out a lot in my older years, I'd say in the last sort of 10 years, after that 21st birthday and going through more personal stuff. That's when I suddenly had this moment of realization of, oh my gosh, this is all coming back down to that moment. Wow, that's super interesting. I think it's probably a mechanism that I've used as well. I always say to people that, I know I've definitely had a traumatic childhood, and because I think I don't know, you know, I smoked a lot of weed in my teenage years, and, you know, so I don't know, but, you know, my memory definitely is affected, right? But I put it down to, you know, to trauma that I had as a child, because even in my teenage years, I couldn't really even remember my childhood. So I know there was a lot of trauma there, but that's pretty much how I generally in my life just deal with things. Like, cool, it doesn't matter, you know. And having been homeless as well, I'm like, I'll be all right. I don't need to I don't need to worry. I don't need I'll just be good. Whatever happens, we'll just move on next. And like you say, it's probably not the healthiest way, but it gets you through it.
Yes, exactly.
That's the thing. I think I don't look back and think I should have processed that any different. I think that's what I needed at the time. Like you said, like we go into this space of denial. Like I can't remember much of my childhood either. From the age of I can't remember, I think I've got one memory from under 10, one memory of my parents together. And that's only because I've seen a video footage of a moment that I can now remember. Wow. And I again, honestly had no idea that was not normal. It was only about 5 years ago I was chatting to my boyfriend Cedric, and he was telling me about when he was 4 and a memory when he was 6. And I said to him, babe, do you remember those things? I said, I don't remember anything. He went, you don't remember anything? And it was that look in his eyes, and I'm like, is that not normal? Because I don't have any brothers or sisters to ask. I didn't have anyone. You don't really have that conversation.
It's kind of sad. Kind of sad, because I know exactly, like, my missus talking about shit. I think her earliest memory is like 2.
Yeah.
I'm like 2. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, for me anyway, I'm like, I have this like thing, like, I wish I could remember that stuff, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I think I've gone back to a lot of it now, and I still can't remember it, and I probably never will, but I'm allowing that, you know, younger version of me, that younger Chloe, to say, actually, that's okay, Chloe, you did what you need to do then to protect yourself. I was protecting myself to get through it, and now that I'm in a safer space, I was okay to process it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's going back to the same thing. You know, you did what you had to do to protect yourself. I wouldn't change it, because it's made you more resilient. There's a yin and yang to everything. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just life. It's dark and then there's light. That's what you had to do. But as a result of that, that's now built this character that, you know, when you need to deep into that resolve, it's there. Do you know what I mean? Because you've done that before. So that's pretty cool. Awesome. So, you know, you kind of go through these few years. Obviously, you're going back and forth. How long did that go on for?
So I left home at 18. So it was 8 years of going back and forth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And every time you go to this house, oh yeah, he's a dick, and you go to that house and she's a dick, and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And then new partners came involved. So my mum remarried. She wasn't remarried when I was that young, but my stepdad moved in, I think, when I was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
My dad's girlfriend was on the scene from about 12 or 13. So it was like going through all of that new experience of like, who are these two new adults in my life? And again, knowing what I know now, two very different personality styles again. And that whole dynamic of, I've now got my mum and my stepdad, I've now got my dad and his girlfriend, their kids that came into the scene, suddenly having step parents, and it's just a whole minefield of things that I just never experienced.
Wow.
And I didn't know I would ever experience it, because you don't know those things.
Yeah. Did you like having siblings, or did you look at them as siblings?
It depends. Yes and no. I loved the experience of having siblings because I'd never had that before. And it was really interesting because they are really lovely people, but we've got very different backgrounds. So because they had their own childhoods, I had a brother and a sister on my dad's step family side, and a sister and two brothers on the other side. So I suddenly had 5 siblings. So, but none of them had ever been only child. So we didn't have a lot in common in that respect. But I did love having people to connect with, to just have some sort of family that got it. Yeah. We had a lot of laughs. We took the piss out of our step parents and each other's parents a lot. But as we've grown older, I've realised that I value them. But because we've had totally different childhoods, we've got different parents, we've got different value systems. Sometimes we just don't align to those things.